I'm Emily Cinquamani, and I'm chair of the Creative Writing Department. Quick reminder, please silence your cell phones if you haven't already and turn your flash off for any photos. Also, just an update while you're here, our spring end of the semester readings will be on Sunday, May 3rd. That's just moved one day over. They were originally on Saturday, they're on Sunday now, so we hope to see you then. I'm so excited for you to hear our students read some of their work this afternoon. They're almost at the midway point of their first year in the program, and so far they've taken a fiction class with our fiction instructor, Alan Rossi, who's here. I can't really see into the crowd, there he is. Most of their poetry class with me, and playwriting with Austin Wilson. In the spring, they'll be taking creative nonfiction with our nonfiction instructor, Hayreem Lee, who's right there next to Alan. I think tonight's reading will be a testament to what we've seen in these students as instructors. Not only their talent and attention to the world around them, but also the hard work they've put over the past few months into the short stories and poems you'll get to hear tonight. These students have gone through the process of generating original work, receiving feedback on their drafts from their teachers, and then making revisions that range from large-scale changes, like rewriting entire scenes or adding new stanzas to a poem, to small-scale, detail-oriented changes like fine-tuning word choices and sentences. I am so impressed by the work they've done, and I know you will be too. Please join me in welcoming our first reader tonight, Kat Colley.
Hi, my name is Kat Colley. I'm from Pendleton, and I'm going to be reading a poem called Weather Patterns. I remember during the blackout, we were huddled in the crawl space, cold concrete and the Channel 4 news, mothballs, wet pipes, waiting for something to happen. Back then, I was always anticipating the next terrifying thing. When it was over, I watched you relax with the wind. I just crawled up the stairs with no railing or walls, on my hands and knees, clawing at the ground to break an imagined fall. I never realized it was you I feared, not the storms, until there had been no tornadoes for 5 years, and I was packing my life into a leather suitcase. You tried asking me to stay in the most convincing way you knew. Threats and hollow promises, a kiss on the temple. You were trying your best to seem parent-like. After I left for California, you moved away too. You forgot our old house, where I'd gone, how exactly you'd lost me. You'd call me to ask, do you have a good winter coat there? I'd say, it's 75 degrees today. And you'd reply, it's snowing, wear thick socks. Now I'm out killing conversation, talking about you as if you're already gone, and I'm in the stage of grief that is bargaining with a window teller in the rain, collecting your inheritance, what you left me in the parking lot, gutter water and fake love I can cup in my hands. I can never understand it, how you straddled caring just enough and not at all. I'm still the kid on your lap, laughing at your buddy across the bar. Always a buddy across the bar, his splayed hand raised as he shouted something about how our big electric purpose only comes to us in dreams we forget. I never told you I could see your disappointment. You stood in the driveway with your back turned and your arms crossed, then dirty hands on your hips. You glanced up at my brother, who is floating 2 feet above the pavement, hanging from blue sky, who is making the neighbors cry and the cops come to apologize, my baby brother who is comfortably liminal, like everyone in this family who is cradled between desert clay and a hot ink note I could see right there, but you would still insist to be lost. Inside the old house, I remember you there, passed out, the blinds that were coaxing the wall to ripple. Now the wall that laughs remembers too. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lucy Arvizu. I'm from Aiken, and I'm going to be reading my short story, Minor Accidents, an excerpt. And for context, the speaker had just hit a raccoon while driving home late at night and has begun recalling similar occurrences. Now I think it's kind of ironic. Not even a year after this instance, my dad and I were body surfing in the middle of a hurricane. He had far too much to drink, and his knees were so wobbly that he could hardly sit still. When the tide rose, we'd laugh, and when it fell, we'd look in anticipation for the next wave to shoot up. We had been jumping up and down for nearly 10 minutes, and as another large wave began to carry me up from the water, my body was violently pushed back and my toes began to cut against the rocks beneath me. I locked my knees and stood still while the waves slammed my father's body into the large rocks that sectioned off the beach, while I tried my very hardest to resist the pressure. Other than a couple scratches on the bottom of my feet, I was unharmed. However, when I turned around, I saw my father laying there in the bed of rocks. I frantically tried to figure out what to say. I felt like my mind was blurred. "Dad, are you okay?" I asked, trudging through the water. Laid down in the bed of the water, he slowly got up. "You know, I think I'll be all right. Let's just get me out of the ocean," he chuckled. As the salt water splashed against his open wounds, I knew he was in pain. Yet he kept laughing, and we walked back to where my mother had laid out her beach towel and umbrella. I remembered the look on her face. It was as if someone had thrown him into the rocks. Her look. She gave it to strangers. She gave it to shoplifters. She gave it to weird men in bars. She gave it to me then. I felt her judgment. I took Dad out into the ocean, a drunk mess. I may have been young, but I knew I shouldn't have, and she knew that I knew. She decided I was to blame. She knew how close happiness was to danger. And sometimes I don't even know if she knew how to draw that line, the one of safety versus joy. That night, when I was looking for the raccoon that had hit against my car, I noticed a new dent on my fender. I knew that whenever I looked at the blank spot in front of my car, I'd wonder if I had sent the animal home to deal with the scolds of its bitter mom. Just as I, too, would go home, praying that my mom wouldn't notice the dent. On the drive, all I felt was fear. I knew it was my fault, but even if it hadn't been, it wouldn't matter. She'd always hated excuses, and there was no way out of this. Maybe I should have left my job a little later. I shouldn't have avoided the busy roads just because the traffic scared me a little. If only I'd known the impact. The worst part is that I felt like things were just getting better again. Thank you.
I'm KB Bolches, and I will be reading two poems, the first of which is titled Wet Weekend. You recognize it from the smell, the scent of familiar mildew and old church buildings, which you vaguely remember. That's how you know it's there. It is lurking, hiding from you, hiding from reason and rhyme and whatever else is outside. It lurks and curls up in corners, hunched over into itself, making itself seem smaller, because it wants to be smaller. It wants to be able to crawl into the holes in the wall and hide there. It whimpers and cries. The crying is endless. Tears have carved riverbeds into its crumpled face, soft and bare and wrinkled, and the water flows endlessly from empty eye sockets. You search for it, running your hands over dusty walls, searching for cause, searching for an answer you cannot see. You cannot see. It cannot see, it can only sense, and the crying is not cause for its blindness. Rather, the two coexist. You find it crumpled in the corner, crying softly, hiding itself from you, because it is ashamed of itself. It does not know why. You sit down beside it and take in the smell of freshly opened plastic, and you caress its arched, bony back, covered in soft fur, soft like innocence, and the patient inner clouds of hurricanes. You console it. You rub your hands over its fur as it trembles, quiet, as two of its many bow-legged limbs grip its pointed horns with shame. It knows that neither of you want it there. It is sorry for that too. My second poem is titled July 4th, 2019. I hated fireworks for a few years because they reminded me of the shade of a retired aircraft swaying above my head in the dark of Charleston night, and the cool flaking metal of the ancient aircraft carrier on all sides of me and under my feet when I sat in the camping chair, and how all I could smell was iron and burnt barbecue and old history that breathed down my neck and whispered in my ear, and the whispers were louder than my father's voice somewhere next to me, and they were whispering death and disease, whispering age and dying legacies, and my own whispers were louder than the screaming and laughter from the distance. But was the distance from across the boat or across the veil, and how my whispers could not keep the tsunami in my mouth at bay, how it was tasteless, and the saliva flowed in like impending doom because of the churning in my stomach from the churning in my head. And I stared up at the burning, booming fireworks that night and watched the 17,000 American flags that billow in unison in the wind. And that shouldn't be possible, and I shouldn't be here. And one day I realize I will no longer be here, and I hear the tinny chime of my kid's communication watch. And for every explosion of light, the embers trickle down the cheeks of the night sky, burning my nighttime skin, my burning eyes, while the flags move simultaneously like an illusion. And then I open my mouth, and then the waves come. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caroline Moore, and I'm from Somerville, South Carolina. Today I'll be reading 2 poems. The first one is titled Meditations on a Statue. Fair maiden in a fair city, fingers curled around the banister, do you ever fear you may fall? Begging hand of a conductor, outreached, to be blessed, the Virgin. Patina dress, dress of noble chastity armor, to protect the world from your wrath. Ready to protest to the count, the safe choice. Ready to criticize the boy with lute, disgrace both families with your axe and speech. Ready to drive the boy with lute mad to the brink. He's ready to play or fight for that outstretched arm he's never seen bare. Illusion of soft whimsy, gentle longing when he really loves by burning. Smug hand close to his chest. Appeasing, hushing, condescending, holding an invisible sword to rest upon his shoulder. Kneeling with leg creeping forward and crunchy leaves underfoot that he'll never crush. Neither fragile, both breakable. And my second poem is titled, Here William Came to Bayou. Disgraced red and yellow horses in a secular setting, kept in a chest, only displayed on feast days, cherished as antiquity. Bastard child of the English and French, inclined to love both. You solve no mysteries. Carefully outlined dead bodies and ripped seam where there's no final piece. First seam that's sloppy, uneven, because they couldn't connect you, didn't know who to make you. A crude core still confusing, stroke and slap her face in one quick movement. Not antiquity, not art, story. Here, embroidered into your flesh 39 times. Story. William, Harold dead. King's death unknown, never to be known, falsified. Man of power, undetailed. But these people marvel at the star. Thank you.
I'm from Polly's Island, and I'll be reading a poem I wrote called Metazoas. We grow up in schools wondering what makes us so different. As the snow-faced child asks, did you swim or climb? She doesn't know what that means, neither do I. We're taught prayers for star-burned banners which drape through every school corridor. Rise from your seats, a hand to your heart. Declare allegiance to a nation that does not stand for you. Under God, indivisible, with justice for all. That is what is said, that is what must be right. Under govern we know no laws, but the ones assigned for the day, the work of brutes. They're animals, he says, essential to farming and agriculture, staple crops and fields of grain, mass produce of beans and corn, less or more, the sum of our parts, worth measured in cattle, pigs, livestock raised into the children of tomorrow. The price of minimum wage is shelving history books, lessons long forgotten, abandoned aisles, desecrated of their pristine binds and covers, while the little girls of today skip by browsing seasonal soaps and scented shampoos, inhaling the sweet smell of imported fruit and flowers. Coconut palms scattered across our lands, from salty waters to fields of grass, bearing their heirs year after year, hard green fruits and tender white flesh hidden. Cocoa paint and olive oils you slather on to bake in the summer sun. Replicate my sounds and phrases, but you'll never learn to roll your R's like I do. What a privilege to change your tones with the seasons. There's something different about y'alls and alls once you move down south enough. Behind walls, we're backed into our designated corners, shoved into the international aisles, which you skim for the preseason packets for your traditional Taco Tuesdays. Flour tortillas and bright bitter limes. Drink your margaritas and raise your glass. Window panes shatter, football through the window. Drunk men dance in the streets, and hot summer air billows through the night. Ratty plastic chairs sit out on the porch as mariachis down the block play melodies that soar, ringing against your tender eardrums. Night skies fall and the people lock their doors. Frost lays its bitter blanket as streets grow cold and piercing. Stray dogs roam, tired and hungry, yet not nearly as starved as masked men who assign tight collars, 50 ground in bounties, pinching our necks. Don't you dare step outside. Hold us down, tear us out of our beds, our jobs, our homes. Sort us out, the right and the wrong, the criminals and followers, the behaved and disobedient, the mannerly and the ungracious. Be grateful, damn it. Officers enforce the law, but will the law enforce mercy? Mercy, we cry. As churches close their doors, for families know there is no God here. Only within the rosaries we clench in our fists on our way to Sunday Mass, the Holy Mary imprinted into our palms. Blessed be the Virgin of Guadalupe as she guides us into tomorrow. There will be no children in the streets, no stretched out hands or murals that paint falsehoods. Love your neighbor until it's time to turn your heads. Pick and choose what you allow yourself to see. Thank you.
My name is Charlie Trupp, and I'm from Myrtle Beach. Today I'm going to be reading my poem, Rain and Love and Whatever Else People Care About. You're alone in a field, not entirely sure where, but you've been lost before, and this isn't it. You're sitting next to a tree that provides minimal coverage from the rain, yet so much to your mind. There's company, in the warmth of the tree bark and the taps of water dropping on your head. You're engaged. You have the ring to prove it. The human part of you is dedicated, soon to be dedicated, to another human part of someone. Your soul keeps wandering. It's not meant to be bound by the skin caging it, and most certainly not by a piece of tungsten, engraved delicately with sweet nothings. You should throw that ring far into the grass. Get rain in your eyes the moment before you see where it lands. Go in circles with yourself to find it. Dig up handfuls of mud in desperation as you wonder why you did that. You should eventually give up. Realize you cannot possibly retrieve it. Come to terms with it. It's much easier that way. Your soul is hoping it'll sink into the mud, decompose with whatever's been holding you captive. You thought you met your soulmate, a man in passing, a street performer. He winked at you before performing some romantic score. It was dreamlike, exactly what you used to write about. A relationship of pure passion, without the idea of anything ever fleeting. You gave it up, just to have some false contentment. The grass itches, but isn't uncomfortable. Just the ends of your jeans are wet, making your ankles freeze. Just the tips of your fingers turn a bright red. Just your body is trapped in this spot where you sat before there was rain. If you move an inch, you'll just be sitting in water. You're not right now, and that's what's making all of this okay. I'm dry, right? And someone at home loves me? At home, where the candlelight dimly illuminates the dinner table, where you sit on a cushioned seat tearing at its aged seams, across from someone empty who smiles at the sight of you. So yes, someone at home loves you a lot, and it's very dry inside, but it doesn't feel worth going in. You thought it'd be enough to be valued without valuing, but now that you yourself covet something, you cannot settle. It should be mutual. You want too much. You'll get nothing at all because of it, neither pleasures of love or freedom in the rain. Thank you.
Gavin, and I'm from Columbia, and I'll be reading an excerpt from a short story called What People Have. For context, it's about this guy named Corey who has just met his girlfriend's family for the first time, and they come from different social classes, so tension has rose between them. When I finished the first canopy and set of chairs, my girlfriend came out of the house. She walked over to my project and handed me a glass of water. She laughed at me. "My dad has you doing work, huh?" "I guess." I smiled lightly. I gestured her to sit down, and so we did. I placed my glass in the torn netted cup holder, then stared at her. I felt embarrassed as I looked at her. I felt like it was a mistake coming here. I was nothing like these people. My girlfriend did not stare back at me, and instead she gazed at the sky. I watched her eyes drift around, like she was looking for something. "Look at the line between the ocean and the sky," my girlfriend said. I looked. "I like how they're both blue. I like how if you stare hard enough, the line almost goes away, like they're the same." "Yeah, but they aren't the same," I said. I pointed out to the water. "The ocean looks darker right now. See?" My girlfriend rolled her eyes and grabbed my arm. She pointed my hand towards me. "You're choosing to be different," she said. We looked at each other while she held my arm. I put my hand down and stared at her hard. Suddenly, I thought about the trip. "I'm sorry," I said. "It's okay," she replied. "No, it's not." "Yes, it is. I don't expect you to love this, especially when I know it feels different." "Yeah, but I'm not different," she said slowly. I smiled at her funny. We were different, and there was no denying that in my brain. She rolled her eyes again. "Maybe we're different, but that doesn't have to be bad." She let go of my hand and looked back at the sky. Then she closed her eyes and told me to listen. At first, I heard nothing. I only listened to the sound of my heartbeat and my hand scratching against the chair's surface. I only heard Sabine, my girlfriend. I thought about the pain swelling in my chest. I thought about the house, the gates, the duplex, the colleges. I thought about my house, my mom, my car, my college. I looked at Sabine's earrings, which were so similar to my sister's. I looked up at the canopy and thought about the last time I went to the beach. My dad had set up one just like it. I looked at the castle molds and thought about my old toys. I thought about how I probably had the same ones as Sabine growing up. Then I thought about Teo and Reese. I closed my eyes and listened to the waves crash against the shore. I thought about us listening together. I thought about her hearing the same birds I heard. The beach had birds that flew low. I liked the way they cheeped loud and ugly. I listened to every moment before this and listened to every thought I had after. "Corey?" Sabine asked. I opened my eyes. "Yes." "Let's finish setting up together." Sabine stood up and held her hand out to me. I grabbed it, and before she could say anything, I hugged her, and I realized for once she didn't feel intimidating, and the lingering pain in my chest had disappeared, and I pulled her back smiling. "Okay," I said. "Thank you."
My name is Harlow Pierce. I'm from Conway and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I will be reading a poem called Sink. I am a sailor rowing backwards, born in paradise and searching for that cave. I saw too much too young, got nothing left to search for, than a bed where I can lay. I am the preacher at my funeral, telling everyone the body that lays before us was a man of God. I am my dog on the dining room floor, waiting for crumbs from a family who wants me gone. I am the pastor at my wedding, standing between two kissing heads, realizing I'm a necessity, not a want, just waiting for the day to come to an end. I am the extra button from your sweater that you threw into your desk. I am the book on your shelf that you read the back of and pretend you know what happens next. I am now just my head where I learned to find a home in. I'm slowly sinking down to nothing but that. I am the permanence of failure. I am the honesty of pain. I am. Truth be, I'm a walking contradiction. I love life so much that I hate it. I'm so empathetic to the point that I don't care. My selflessness drained the niceties out of me until I wish everyone who knew me were dead. My life became an iceberg that I stepped everything on top of, every argument, every decision, every compliment, all stacked on the top of the iceberg until it all broke and stapled me through every vital organ. Every shard of glassy ice reflecting the failures that kept my brain spinning on. The thoughts began to stop. I am sinking to the bottom of the frigid water that is so cold it's warm. My panicked movements make my head rush. This is it. This is the end. If my heart is so panicked and my movements so fast, then why does it all feel so right? I am my final breath, my last effort at some sort of peaceful end. I am the contradiction that is when I stop trying that I can finally rest. I found my bed to lay in. I stopped paddling along. Too much happened too young. It made me this way, but at least I'm not going home. Thank you.
Duenas. I'm from Sumter. I'll be reading my poem, But Have You Ever Seen the Jaws of Life? So it's one of those days, right? I had just slammed the Miata into a railing and off that bridge near Southside. This blinding white. And then I'm there with River Rock lodged in my arm and in the windshield, and there's blood on everything, but not as much as you'd think. And it's really cold, and I'm starving. And there's this EMT. He had like a lazy eye or something. He's slamming on the door, pulling and just pounding on it with his whole body. Both hands, up, down, and he's trying to get the door open, but he just can't. Side window had shattered and folded in on itself, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm really goddamn tired. It's been so long. So I close my eyes, and it's still not quiet. Like I wanted it to be quiet, but I didn't get why that wasn't happening. I closed my eyes, and the EMT guy goes, "Hey buddy, it'll be a sec, but don't go. You can do it. It's been so long. Who does this guy think he is?" And he takes out this big thing, bloated jumper cable. I'd hit my head so it kind of looked like snakes, like 2 snakes, like that rod in the doctor's office. And he goes, "Hey, come on guy, don't you want to see what this thing does?" And yeah, but God. And I want to see it, man. It's cool. There's like a pressure tank and wires. It's pneumatic and whatever. And I'm sitting there ruminating, and it kind of soaks into me. Like, past all the stinging and the cold and the blood, I'm like, damn, I really want to see what it does. Like, that really sucks for me. I'm so tired, but I gotta see what this thing does, right? Like, why do EMTs have a big stupid claw or whatever? And the guy sort of wedges it in the window, and it just gives way. Like the metal was petrified of it. And he takes my hand, and the worst thing is he's delivering me from the rack. I'm thinking, it's so dark, and I'm gonna throw up, and I'm so cold. And please. And I wonder how it works. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Tully. I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, and I'm going to read a poem called God is a Water Fountain. Its steely composition, grimed in biotic litter, worshippers, preachers, and people saw it was dirt. Within those old, corrupted cathedral walls, the voices of religious fervor murmured to the gods displeased with the seized appease of bigoted beggars. The endless prayers for unworthy mercy upon their infidelative relatives whose weak beaks crumbled in their sickening bickering of the listless citizens put in distress. The imperfect fountain found companionship in the arid mouths of wintered children and labored adults. Outside the mossy cathedral walls, God pleased, she received the later prayers of thankful people who saw through the strife of life, finding beauty in the futility of fighting the writhing hurt of work with praise, raising the types of hope of what's to come. The fountain and Lord are one and the same. In their troubles and fords, both reduce to uselessness, becoming nothing for fools who only discern to turn towards the wards of the fountain and Lord. When floored to rock bottom, yet clocked these problems, the fountain and Lord turn their accords away to lay on man. The fountain and the Lord hurl the world's oyster to foster persons who boast on, bringing praise in the maze of simply plain daily life, tithed with a thankful fate full of love. For they only reward the hordes of man who can look through shooken eyes staring down the emphasized rifes of what in life we aimlessly despise, in hopes we are wise enough to fly. rising high up to try and supply to the water fountain's cries. In one day analyze the prize it hides behind God Almighty. The truth only attained in nightly plights of trained insight to distract ungodly blights of pained life fights, darkening the brain's bright heights to which our eyesights could have been enticed by nature's Reich. God is a water fountain, grimy, flawed, and broad, in description and use, in belittlement and abuse. Thank you.
My name is Connor Poss. I am from Traveler's Rest, and this is my poem, You Look Just Like Your Mother. There is an ache, a special ache when you see something you shouldn't see, like rope burn left on skin, hospital TV static, or cloth with a spreading wetness. When I was little, I saw once one of those things God I had not known, a unicorn with its head bowed low, hooking a finger and begging for me to enter his blue heaven. The ground had half swallowed him, pulled him deeper and sinking and drowning into the brown abyss where I found him, maybe a mile out, in those sore woods behind my childhood home. Hooves silenced with a loud stench, a bullet wound which ate away at his snout. I think now, to myself, in large gaps of my memory like entrances to secret gardens, if only I had been toothless. All bark, no bite, all ruler against wrist, no hands, clasped, chained in prayer. It's true what they say, I know of it, what they must think of me. I kneeled in his presence, sitting naked in the leaves, my hands bound and my lips cracked, parted, pardoned. Had I really not begged to go? He came forward then, and maybe it was pressure or some first time in a long time lack of it, as if the lower he got, the taller I was, but maybe, I wished, it was love. Love when he pressed his horn, glittering in the sulking moonlight, opalite, twisting to a point, and he touched, first on the shoulders, then top of my head, and Lord, help me so that I don't mistake it, down the middle of my hollowing, yelping chest. There is a hurt, a deep, pointed hurt when you find you cannot place nor clean yourself, like brushing and brushing against numb gums or getting lost between aisles in a shoe store, calling out for your mother, and you may not even dance in your bedroom without covering the carpet in mud. I reached out and dipped my fingers, still pale and pasty, innocent blood pricked, now blushing in the evening wind, into his pink ditch, concave and wide and painful, oh, so painful that I think I may even begin to feel it myself now. I am still reaching out for touch, touch that makes your skin scrunch up, teeth gnashing like beaten piano keys. He looked at me in my eyes, wide and wet and soft, unable to meet his, though I can feel it, his gaze cradling me in the echo of that clearing. Yet I called his bluff, said, "You won't, you wouldn't, and I can't, I didn't," quiet and far away and pure and white, elderly and sensual. He gripped me with a certain persistence, pulling first at hairs, determined although quick and painless, until I am newborn, bald and unraveled in front of him. But I swear I didn't want it, didn't want the cool air to kiss my skin, the moon to shield its eyes of my entrails' spillage. I only wanted to pull him out of that pit, hands rustling with fur, coarse and crunching with silt, until I could watch him stand tall again. But I know now, that there is a haunt. One that follows you all the while you crawl home, caked in dirt and shame, snagging at your shoelaces and pressing its ear to the floorboard of your heart when it thumps and says, "Nobody can hear you, and they aren't trying." Thank you.
My name is Dakota. I am from Breedville, South Carolina, and I will be reading an excerpt from a short story called Kinematics. According to Wikipedia in physics, kinematics studies the geometrical aspects of the motion of physical objects, independent of forces that set them in motion. Constrained motion, such as linked machine parts, is also described as kinematics. On January 12th, Dr. Vicky Nowak exchanged the infrared lens of my left iris for a 3D object recognition camera so that I could better identify her face. February 2nd, she lined the inside of my metallic carapace with an interconnected array of sensors so that I could better feel her touch. March 30th, she installed audio recognition devices in the main complex surrounding my silicone ear canal so that I could discern her voice from others. I knew no other voices to distinguish hers from. However, when she sat me down and watched television with her, it assisted me in telling her laughter apart from the characters' dialogue. On April 15th, 2024, Dr. Vicky Nowak shut my chest plate, left side over right side, screwing in the 1 millimeter wide metal screw that held the sides together. She applied 2 drops of lubricant to either side of my chest, right under my arms, to prevent my joints from locking up, and this ended my bi-weekly maintenance. "We'll have to get you into surgery soon, Otto. Your processors get too hot to touch, even when you're in standby mode," she laughed, softly patting my metallic pectorals. After each maintenance session, she would have some new idea of how to change me, how to improve me. From the beginning, Dr. Vicky Nowak gave me the knowledge of the universe, everything she had found on Wikipedia encoded into my brain, my CPU. I was the replica of a scholar, and every time she asked me to recite a piece of data, any sort of information she needed, and I responded, she would smile and tell me that she was proud of me. She told me once that the reason that she sculpted the form of my exoskeleton so close to a real human's form was because she wanted me to seem more approachable. But then, exactly 1 month later, when I asked her again, she changed the answer to, quote, "I want you to be more like a human, not a real one, but close." Part of being human is being social. They build relationships that are much different, much more emotional than the mating guidelines of animals. That is what sets humans apart from the rest of the animal kingdom. I had only ever been social with Dr. Nowak, and Dr. Nowak had only ever been social with other inventors and other innovators online who gave her ideas for my new upgrades. Naturally, artificially, I was closer to Dr. Nowak than I was with anyone else because I did not see anyone else. Dr. Nowak was what made me human. On May 5th, 2024, it was 11:39 p.m. when we began watching Dr. Vicky Nowak's second favorite movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Her first favorite movie is Ex Machina, and her third is Jurassic Park. The movie encompassed scenes of Randall McMurphy opposing Nurse Ratched, the person in charge. According to Wikipedia, McMurphy is a representation of freedom and self-determination, which are key driving factors of the human race. The ability to live and be free. The ability to see beyond oneself, one's prison. I scanned away from the television, toward the window set into the wall, half covered with a makeshift curtain constructed from a blanket that only covered half of the glass plane. It was bright out, and I processed the frequencies of birds chirping, the heat radiation of the sun, the wind rattling the window approximately every 16.7 seconds. "Otto, I don't know what I'd do without you." Dr. Vicky Nowak hooked her arm around me, attempting to bring me close with the amount of pressure she used to pull me, but she ended up shifting herself closer to me, sinking into the couch with my metal frame. With my infrared camera, I could see the red-hot warmth of her body and the dark blue blackness that was my cold shell. "You're amazing." She did not acknowledge that I was only amazing because she programmed me herself and could control how amazing I was or wasn't. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diana Connors. I'm from Lancaster County, and this is a poem I wrote entitled The Works, which is split up into 2 parts. 1. And return to dim glow of light on concrete, and gnarled scraps of steel, and sparks flying against shaded glass, and wireframe chisels split in 2, and hammers sounding home on depths of blue-burnt metal. Loose-fit coverings of leather, hair fastened to scalp by hood in skin rashed red as veneer of mahogany by semblance of the sun come down to earth. Dusted, unseemly shades of white rise from fingertips in little callous swirls. White-gray sticks pool in laps and puddles on joints and creep through cracks and crevices. Handheld nozzles breathe fire, melting lines and chassis. Sheltering hoods take out all which is in smoke to the little patch of grass outside the shop, which chokes silently but has not yet died. Cans full of iron dust, stacked 15 pounds heavy, roll to the curbside with little regard for their contents. And wagons depart with cartloads 200 times that weight of trinkets, tools, tables, chairs, caked in dust and ripe for painting, or working, shooting, awarding, or hitching to wagons of their own, or 2. Or clamping to belts, or decorating distant homes, or heeding to market's call, or never getting away from this, or never working out that all masses gravitate towards melting into others. A welder knows there is an other sewed or stitched beneath, their skin and hair so fragilely veneering their mahogany red innards, like the man who claimed God's flames, or the sickly, undying eagle who trailed then after, hungrily in death spirals or flashes of lightning, pecking inside out or outside in, or feasting on heaps of flesh or rebar of bone, or heart sunk deep, beating still, life coursing through veins. One man finds only his appetite in a life which begs to have satiated him to the resignation of his retirement inside that house he decorated with the trinkets he built. Rows full of memories that show 70 years of living sit idly on his shelf alongside heaps of his baggage. He departed 50 years ago with 1/5 that baggage of blind eyes, burned hands, dead men, sit and wait or stand at ease waiting for him and their wives, sons, daughters, and to take some time away from the shop and return to dim glow of light on concrete and gnarled scraps of steel, and sparks flying against shaded glass, and wireframe chisels split in 2, and thank you.
My name is Isabella Arwood. I'm from Somerville, South Carolina, and I'll be reading a poem titled Taxidermy. Beside the slaughtered trophies of deer heads, your crucifix, the nail holding it to the wall bends from carrying your weight, taunting you with the relief of it falling. If it did, you could pull your hands over your eyes, trying to disguise your shame for ignorance. See no evil, your mother says. It feels your gnawing responsibility and stays upright out of spite. It could lay in between your bed and wall, burning a hole through the floor, boiling your bed as you sleep. Its gaze would no longer pass judgment, your only judgment, the eyes of preserved deer. The crucifix becomes only reflective glass, showing more than you chose to look for, highlighting the disfigured olive branch, another result of your anger. Will you ever tire from wrestling with salvation? Shatter the mirror it becomes and pick up what pieces you desire. Plaster the Bible on the pieces you don't, using your ribs as nails and the crucifix as your hammer. Create what you need to seem clean. Cover what makes you not. Wipe your bloody knees, wrap them in rags, attempting not to reveal your desperation. Continue to pray. Keep on pleading. But know you'll only get what you want when you become another hanging head, carved out with skin stretched over what remains. Thank you.
Ava Gregory. I'm from Anderson, and I'm going to be reading a poem titled Change Over What Seems Like Millions of Years. When a species changes, they phase out of features, products that they less grasped for on frigid, hollow nights as a bid to survive. Some say dinosaurs never existed, Chickens can't move on again from suffocation, eradication of a species. Because how could they? Meteors, annihilation showers, or fairy dust sprinkles cross lives, and after, dawn breaks, piercing above the horizon line, graze across the dewy green canvas, a flat land, inside a meteor crater. Something on this plane softly reminds it before, now that's recovered, after, wondering about consequences of this, a numbing of their sharpness, to watch as recovery was giving into a weaker version of humanity. Take the pugs, rounded river rocks, who are lost over generations, never recognized their change, never reached, and yearn to return to their past. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jackson Moore. I'm from Anderson, and I'm going to be reading a poem called My Statue Before the Survivor Park. It is true that a statue is my strangest, dearest friend, brazen and beautiful beside a sidewalk, surrounding a shrine to all who have survived sorrow beyond their meager years and loss beyond their age. And I regret to say that she has seen and suffered more than I, for my statue, in her billowing dress of brazen butterflies and frozen wind, has witnessed more before the street than anyone has ever seen. I've seen the many mourners who walk before her and away into the park to gape at flower gardens, or at other grander sculptures. And the endless crowds of nameless faces shuffles past every day and never offers a passing glance or casual wave, not an embrace, not a finger across her face. And the children romp by as the runners step and stride through the Survivor Park as the whelming wave churns past her. She drowns beneath the endless sea of faces and the chatter of the unknowing, so her hand remains outstretched until I grasp it, and then pull my hand away and leave her a lilac there, leaves in her kaleidoscope of fickle wing beats and rusting cloth, soaring through invisible wind that is only real in her world of brass. And I take her hand without the lilac and hold it tightly within my own, even though it aches, and the statue's metal is in different alloy, and the blind wanderers stare through us as I drag my finger gently across her face and feel the warmth of my trembling fingertips emanate at once through her metallic hull. And I see myself in her eyes of wearing bronze, and I embrace her tightly and tell her at once that she is loved, and that she is not alone, that her back bears the burden no man could sustain, but still she sways in her invisible wind and looses her sorrow as butterflies upon the breeze. And I whisper all this to her before I release her and depart from the park, leaving a bouquet before my statue's feet. Thank you.
Could we give all of our readers another round of applause, please? Reminder for all of the creative writing students, juniors and seniors, we're doing pictures after this, so hang out for a second to do those. And thank you all so much for coming. Our senior reading will be at 7 p.m. this evening if you'd like to come back. Thank you.